Bud was born in 1938, the year before the start of World War II. The first 5 years of his life were spent in a foster home run by Severé and Matilda LaBranche. Since the LaBranches were quite old, their single daughter Yvonne applied to adopt Bud. After several supporters guaranteed he would be cared for, the adoption was approved. That same year, Severé died. 6 years later, Matilda also passed away, and Bud, now 11 years old, thought this would be a good time to start working. His first job was as a pin boy at the campus bowling alley. Shortly after, a delivery boy for Patterson's drugstore quit. Bud applied and got the job. It was much better than being a pin boy. It wasn't long before the other delivery boy quit, so Bud took his job too. The store's druggist was Mr. Sweetman. Every night after the store closed, Bud would wait while the cash was counted and then escorted him home carrying the receipts of the day, asking him important questions about life along the way. Bud was prepared if anyone tried to rob him. His plan was to smash them with his bike. The owner of the drugstore, Roy Patterson, was looking for someone to drive their little delivery van. Roy taught Bud how to drive, and with a signature from the chief of police, at the age of 15, Bud obtained his chauffeur's license, which allowed him to drive a commercial vehicle. His next job was as an usher at the Tivoli Theater. Bud thought this was great. He had a uniform and looked fantastic. Within 2 months, he was promoted to head usher and had 2 ushers working for him. Bud attended a French grade school. Everything was taught in French, even the English classes. As a result, Bud found it difficult to spell in both languages, and he never did learn his times tables. The beginning of high school wasn't much better. After an argument with the school principal in grade 11, Bud quit school. A few weeks later, Bud registered in an electronics course at Detroit Tech. He lasted 2 weeks before quitting. After a few weeks of doing nothing, Bud knew he couldn't be an usher for the rest of his life. With the help of his brother-in-law, Ted Mooney, Bud registered at Corpus Christi High School. Bud was to start school the following Monday. However, he had second thoughts and never showed up. A week later, he thought better of it and nervously arrived at the school. The principal was a nun, Mother Gerald McCann. Mother Gerald looked at Bud and said, "We really didn't specify which Monday it was, now did we?" Bud took an instant liking to Mother Gerald, but by now he had missed the first 2 months of the school year, and it was exam time. Bud failed every exam except history, and he had a theory. The little nun who taught history had broken her glasses the week before, and Bud was the only student in the school with a car. He drove her to get her glasses fixed, and that may have had something to do with that mark. After failing the rest of his exams, Bud called the school and told him he was quitting. He went into the school at 5 o'clock when the school was quiet, and he emptied his locker. He put his combination lock on Mother Gerald's desk and had almost made it to the exit door at the end of the hall before she called out to him to return to her office. For the next half an hour, Mother Gerald told him how important he was to her, the school, and the operation of the planet. She told Bud that he could change the world, and he believed her. The next day, Bud returned to school and never missed another day. Bud claims that he worked 34 jobs after that, including at a bank, Smith's department store, Wilkinson shoe store, the post office, Car Steel, Electroline Manufacturing, Toronto Fence and Wire, Demers Electric, Hiram Walker, and many others. The school board was still short of supply teachers, and since Bud did have some experience, he applied and was immediately placed on the list. He was called frequently to supply teach, and this gave him an opportunity to learn how to manage a different class each day. He started to feel very comfortable as a teacher. At the same time, Bud was working each night as a clerk at the Milkmaid Dairy Bar. This was the only job that Bud quit 11 times. The owner, Cliff Moores, was a very wise man, and like the job at the drugstore, each night after the store closed, Bud would stay around to learn more from the older man, driving him home at night so he wouldn't be robbed. Cliff convinced Bud to finish his teacher training. There was still time to apply to Teachers College in London, so Bud did and was accepted. Every weekend when Bud was back home, he would work at the dairy bar. Bud graduated that year and began teaching at St. Anne's School in Walkerville. Even though he was teaching during the day, Bud was still working nights at the dairy bar to pay bills. It was at the dairy bar where Bud met Lynn Brown, who would later become his wife. Lynn was picking up some photos of a party she attended, and Bud had checked to see if they were properly developed. He said he liked what he saw, and they began dating. After a year and a half of ups and downs, they were married.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine, that's amore. Bells will ring, ting-a-ling-a-ling, ting-a-ling-a-ling, and you'll sing Vita Bella. Hearts will play tippy-tippy-tay, tippy-tippy-tay, like a gay tarantella.
9.5 months later, Bud and Lynn became parents to Kathleen. Bud said he left the hospital that night shouting, "I'm a daddy, I'm a daddy." 16 months later, they welcomed Bill, and as the 1960s ended, Karen arrived, completing the family. Frank was a school inspector in the county. To be sociable, Bud told Frank that his school inspector in the city was John Johnson. Frank was confused. Why would a dairy bar clerk be reporting to a school inspector? Bud explained that he worked at the dairy bar at night, but during the day, he taught grade 6 at St. Anne's School. A few months later, on a Friday afternoon, there was a knock on Bud's classroom door. It was Frank Ryan, the county school inspector. Bud stammered, "Aren't you out of your territory?" Frank laughed and simply said, "Would you like to be a principal?" And for the next 4 years, Bud was principal of St. Vincent de Paul School. At that point, the school board announced it was going to build a new board office with state-of-the-art media center, and they needed someone to operate the new department. Bud applied, and for the next 25 years, he was in his element. Bud started a film library that grew to 3,000 films, established an electronics department, updated the printing department with the latest offset presses and high-speed copy machines, and established a courier system to all schools so that films and teaching materials could be circulated. It was also his job to oversee all the school libraries for equipment and materials. Bud's favorite responsibility was the Teacher Center. They supplied the latest in teaching aids and learning materials and offered teacher training in every subject area and grade level from kindergarten to grade 13. Bud was given a great deal of flexibility to try new things, and he became concerned with teachers keeping up with the fast-moving world. This changed Bud's perspective, and his goal became to instill in people the belief that they could tackle any unforeseen problem in the future. The title of Bud's first talk was, "What You Believe, You Become." It was a generic message that could be applied to anyone: teachers, hospital and industry workers, police, civil servants, mushroom growers, and a host of others. Over a period of 25 years, Bud delivered 850 talks to audiences in Ontario, Manitoba, Michigan, Ohio, and California. For 15 years, Bud was listed in Who's Who in Professional Speaking and was a member of the National Speakers Association. He served on the executive of the Professional Speakers of Michigan. He met and worked with the greatest speakers and motivational writers of the time. But Bud still wasn't done, and it was time for another change. His neighbor, Bill Spears, was a carpenter at Hiram Walker and a boat builder. After Bill's wife Ellen died, he took up wood carving. Bud thought the best way to help Bill was to tell him how it should be done, which it turned out was not a good idea. Bill told Bud that if he thought it was that easy, then maybe he should try it. He did, and Bill and Bud eventually went on to establish the Sun Parlor Woodcarvers Club in 1981. Over 22 years, the club grew to 360 members. They hosted 3 woodcarving festivals featuring over 150 carvers from Canada and the US and had an attendance of over 7,000 people. They organized 3 European woodcarving tours, and when the club wound down, Bud began to teach woodcarving in his shop. Through all of this, Bud and Lynn raised their family. Their little house on Edward Street was tight, and the biggest challenge was only 1 bathroom for 5 people. Bud solved that problem by building a 2-piece bathroom in the small triangular space under a set of stairs. Over the years, the family grew to include spouses Tibor, Jerry, Mark, and Rochelle. Bud and Lynn instilled in their kids, and grandchildren Samantha, Connor, and Abby, a love of learning. Later in life, Bud finally found his birth family and added 2 sisters and 2 brothers. The family that started with a single woman's determination to adopt a foster child was finally complete. When retirement from work came along, Bud and Lynn traveled the world. When asked his favorite destination, Bud easily said England. After 61 years of marriage, the loss of Lynn earlier this year was particularly difficult for Bud, but the family is comforted knowing that they never had to spend even one Christmas apart.
Nicely job.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do, and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall, and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing, and now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got if not himself?
Just begun to get our share of this world's delight. High hopes we have for the future and our goals in sight. We know we don't get depressed. Here's what we call our golden rule. Have faith in you and the things you do. You won't go wrong. Oh no, this is our family jewel.
See ya.